We bring in John Teichert, retired U.S. Air Force Brigadier General and former F-15 pilot. Sir, thank you for joining us and giving us your time on this Memorial Day weekend. We greatly appreciate it. A deal clearly in the works, but the details not out yet. And the president making that clear in his latest Truth Social, where he said, our deal is the exact opposite, speaking about Obama's deal, but nobody has seen it or knows what it is. Your thoughts on where we stand right now, still with a lot of hope that we could see something significant in the coming week. Your thoughts?
Molly, there is hope, but there are two major concern areas that I know the president and his negotiating team are working through. Number one, Iran is notorious in negotiating in bad faith. In fact, the current ceasefire that we're in had one precondition, and that was a no strings attached opening of the strait. And we've never seen that from Iran. And so we need to be very careful about their bad faith negotiations. And then number two, people talk about the devil is in the details, but I say purgatory is in the phasing. And we need to make sure that we hold Iran accountable if they start backsliding, but also that we phase this deal so that Iran doesn't get the major benefits of a deal without giving up the things that are in our strategic interests.
Oh, absolutely. Fabulous points. You know, we also have Kayleigh McEnany, one of our key anchors here, releasing that she had spoken with an administration official that said essentially no dust, no deal. Now, we've known there's been a huge focus on the uranium enrichment part of this, the ultimate goal being that there is no nuclear weapon ever achieved by Iran. But part of that is also getting these nuclear materials out of the country, unusable, so they cannot be advanced and turned into something that could ultimately lead to tragedy. What do you make of that part of the effort?
Molly, in the intervening 60 days of this extended ceasefire, we would need to see Iran negotiating in good faith such that they do three primary things. Number one, they disavow any plans to have a nuclear program. Number two, they destroy all enrichment capability. And number three, that we see returned out of the country any enriched uranium. And unlike the Obama nuclear deal, we need a good deal where they give up permanent, irreversible, and verifiable concessions related to their nuclear program, again, before they get the major benefits of a deal going forward from us.
I want to get your thoughts on just the global community would like to see the Strait of Hormuz opened. There are a lot of folks that are like, let's get that done first, work out specifics on a deal later. What do you say to those entities? There are just a great many countries that would like to see things flowing again, the energy market stabilized, all of that. But that is a player in these negotiations as well.
It is. And the thing that I heard that most heartened me about the deal that's being negotiated is that the president and his team intend to see Iran open up the straits, no strings attached, and demine the straits. And only once we see them take those good faith actions will we start to lift the blockade and gradually relax sanctions. And I think if it's phased in that way, then now the strait is open and the world can rejoice. And only after we see that verifiably do they start to benefit from some of the sanction relief and the end of the blockade.
Yeah, we saw that there was the leader of Israel, Netanyahu, writing that Iran must eliminate the nuclear danger, something all the countries there in that area are very concerned about. We know the president also had a call with some of those nations like the UAE, the surrounding nations that have a lot of concerns about Iran and where some of those missiles have been going in recent months. What do you make of the role that these very important allies are playing as this deal goes forward?
Molly, I love the fact that the last 90 days or so have brought together the United States and Israel and our Gulf partners. And I think one of the major strategic wins, if ultimately we see a deal here, is that we have closer ties amongst those entities that will be extremely important militarily, diplomatically, and economically going forward. And I think their role during the last 90 days and going forward will be critical to make sure that we parlay these wins into strategic successes for the United States.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll see those wins laid out for us in the coming week or so. Greatly appreciate your insights, retired Brigadier General John Teichert. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your service. And I wish you a wonderful and peaceful Memorial Day weekend. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Molly, and have a meaningful Memorial Day as well.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.